Hello! Another video. Admittedly, not as much of a break between the last one and this one, but that's okay. The main thing today, I just wanted to cover I think it's the Type 5 Kari? I think Kari, if I remember right. This is a game I had quite literally a matter of an hour ago as I'm recording this. This is the first and only game I've played in this so far. I really was not expecting to, have it happen this way, but it'll start off slow, but it ends up racking up excuse me, pretty substantially. I generally do only record my first game on a new vehicle just to kind of show you guys, a realistic scenario, right? Which admittedly in this case probably isn't very realistic, but you can kind of get an idea of how far this went based on the Mark of Excellence mod already showing like 7.5%. Anyway, at this point, you guys kind of know how I feel in regards to the loot boxes and stuff if you've been on the stream. In short, I think it's gross that Wargaming is locking new content behind gambling. I'd argue these are more gambling than the Christmas ones. The Christmas ones you're just getting value for money straight up, and it's just better value than the rest of the year. These are not. Generally, I'd advise you just don't buy these at all, and if you want this tank, buy it at a later date. Now, at the end of the day, it's your money. Do what you want. You want to buy it, whatever. You don't want to buy it. I'll at least be able to show you kind of what the deal is with the vehicle and get an idea of what to expect fighting it. This game, I will be firing basically exclusively premium. This is one of the faults of Wargaming, again, balance-wise, where by having AP as the standard and premium, the same as if you had APCR standard and APCR premium, there's basically no reason to not fire the premium round. It is just the standard round, but better in quite literally every way. Base, I think, is 252 pen for 500 alpha. The prem is 298 pen for 500 alpha, which is no joke. And then, just for the real edge, Wargaming naturally gave this 90 high explosive pen, which is ridiculous for 630 alpha. It is really, really beefy. Excuse me, I'm trying to avoid coughing into the mic for you guys. Like I said, this starts pretty slow, but we'll take this time to kind of give you a generalized idea of the vehicle. The thing is, the armor is there. You can kind of think this is a mixture of a Jagdpanther 2 and a Ferdinand, if you're at all familiar with that. Particularly regarding the fact that the armor is okay, not great. So you'll get some bounces, whatever that might be, but it's not going to be reliable enough in my experience, at least based on what I've seen so far, to where, you end up being able to consistently bounce stuff. You can kind of think of it like a Jagdtiger, I guess, in that sense, where, again, it's pretty good, but not great. Now, the other thing is, we'll get into the gun here. Like I said before, it's 500 alpha. Equipment-wise on this, if you're curious, I'm running a gun rammer in the firepower slot, which it has by default. I'm running a vent, and I'm running an aiming unit. Now, the overall stats will knock the aim time down to 1.76. By the way, I am running food, and I am running Brothers in Arms, so take that into account as well if you're looking at how the performance is in this match. Now, I am 500 alpha, 298 pen on the premium, which I'm firing, on top of a 1.76 aim time and I think 0.27. You could probably get it lower to even 0.26 dispersion, which is frankly very good. The shell velocity, you can expect 1150 on the premium. I think it's around 900 on the standard, which is not super unbearable, but it's definitely nothing to write home about, which goes back to the comment before about just bad shell design. Now, this is important to note as well. I am running the reticle mod, the better reticle mod from Jack, if you guys are at all familiar with that. If not, I won't get into it here about what it does, but it simply just makes it more representative of where your shots are likely to go, regardless. So just take that into account when you're watching the shots here. The shell velocity at 1150 does feel pretty okay. I don't have any major complaint about it. Normally, I typically prefer higher shell velocity as it makes it a lot more consistent, but you could see here, 500 alpha is generally pretty good. I've talked about it before in my previous videos where 400 alpha doesn't really feel as meaningful anymore. 420, especially on mediums, if you look at like the Lion, the Leo 1, stuff like that, generally feels a lot more comfortable as opposed to 390. Just based on the amount of guns that have, that more standardized alpha of 400 or 390, whatever it tends to be, as it just gives you that edge in trading shot for shot. But 500 always has, between 500 and 560, always has like a kind of special place for me where I feel like I pen so many more shots at a higher damage than as opposed if I did not. Get a nice shot in here on the Skoda, track him as well, I think. I might get one more here. I believe he missed, but I get a round out right here, and I think that does end up penning. At some point, my team is going to fail on the 9 line, and that's where we're going to end up making our push. But for now, like I said, this is pretty much a bit of a slow start. The armor profile, again, is very, very standard, where you got your lower plate, which isn't great. Nice shot there, right to the little angle on a TVP VTU, as if that dude needs even more of a reason to be upset about his match. We do have a bit of a sniper perch here shared between the three of us. This is a vehicle that I do imagine is going to end up being rather frustrating to deal with, though, in terms of kind of the same way of the SHPTK, the Czech tank destroyer as well. So, right about here is when the game gets particularly fun. You can see we're already up around 3,000 damage, but I see that they're kind of clustering over on the 9 line, and I think, okay, this is where the tank is going to get interesting, because we'll be able to kind of put into practice the armor, the overall DPM, and kind of get a feel for it that way. I'm debating if I want to end up pushing through here or wait for them to push. I'm also noticing that they have a charioteer over in this area, which can end up being really, really beneficial for the HE at 90mm pen. For 630 alpha is no joke. That's really dangerous. I'm setting up here, just kind of waiting, but I decide that with my team pushing through mid, it's probably going to be for the best that I end up pushing through and just try to get some damage out, because this has admittedly been a very boring game. I did not need to fire premium for the overwhelming majority of these shots, if not all of them. I have no doubts this will end up being a pretty good credit maker. You can see the mobility, particularly the acceleration, really isn't that bad. If you're looking for something for frontline, this will probably be an okay vehicle. Again, the way I feel about the loot boxes and stuff, it's very shitty they're selling it like this, but that's just the way it is. There's really no way around it at this point, unless you're going to end up waiting for the vehicle to go on sale later, which admittedly could take a year from now. Who knows with how generally greedy Wargaming is getting lately. I'm still being very confident on this push now that I saw the Skoda more towards mid. I'm hoping I'll see the Charioteer kind of holding the line here, but I keep pushing, and the Charioteer gets lit right about now. And I decide, okay, this should be pretty free. I get one here. I take my time. I'm looking at the Skoda as well. I do get a round up. We get a nice 600 damage shot. Admittedly, not as high as it could have been. I'm really looking to punish the HE shot here, but I decide, all right, it's admittedly probably not worth it, but I'll try it anyway, and we do get a little unlucky. And unfortunately, you'll see as this game goes on, this could have been a genuinely ridiculous game instead of just a pretty great one. I get the Prem AP back. I'm still just trying to make sure I hit my shot here. We get a nice round out, and we do bounce one, but we do take one as a pen, so you can kind of get that idea where it's armor that works, but it's nothing to be relied upon for, you know, I can go in and absolutely bounce this, or have a much higher likelihood of bouncing. I do try to wiggle and make the most of it. But I do end up farming the majority of the Skoda's HP. I do wish I didn't mess up and dump the HE round on him, though. At this point, I realize, okay, this could actually be a pretty big game since the VK actually has full HP. Again, I have the screenshot. I swear this is my first and only game in this tank, even at the time of recording this. And it ends up being a pretty beefy one for a tier 8 premium, which is the important thing to remember. This is a tier 8 premium. This thing is going to meet tier 6s. That is terrifying. The armor, again, against tier 6s will probably end up being fine, but the overall state of the vehicle is dangerous. This gun is a 10-second reload, in case you haven't noticed, because I think I forgot to mention that, for 500 alpha. That gives a pretty juicy DPM. We are getting some nice rounds out here. Admittedly, I probably should have shot him in the side there. I think I would have had a better shot. I'm trying to put the rock on my left in between me and the Scorpion, as I don't want to lose too much HP to a lucky pen from the VK, and that is a mistake that I am still thinking about an hour later as of recording this. I was so not used to using large repair kits, because I've been using small ones on my main account recently, and I ended up pressing 4-3 to repair my gun when I didn't need to, and I forced a high explosive round on a shot that should have been a beyond free penetration. So we do end this game only looking at about 6,900 damage, and I did end up getting a blind on the Skoda in mid. So we ended about 7,400, I think, for my first and only game in this vehicle. Overall, if you get it, it is a straight up success. Very, very good, extremely worth it. But don't worry, I don't think it's on the same level as the Czech TD or anything like that. Excuse me. Overall, if I had to give the vehicle a general rating, I'd probably give it like an 8 out of 10. It's pretty fun, but my opinion may change, especially as people learn the armor and what the DPM is capable of and all that. But anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you next time.